Have you ever felt like there was something about you that you couldn't quite explain? Something deeper than just your personality, your habits, or your upbringing, something that feels almost scripted? What if I told you that the day you were born was not just a random event, but a key, an encoded message that has been directing your life in ways you've never realized? That your birth date holds a hidden psychological code, a pattern so deeply woven into your subconscious that it has shaped your identity, your decisions, and even your destiny. Most people never think about their birth date beyond celebrations or astrology. They think of it as just another day on the calendar. But what if I told you that your birth date is more than just a number? What if it's a psychological blueprint, a hidden code that has been influencing your thoughts, your emotions, and even the way you see the world since the moment you took your first breath?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Think about this. Why were you born on that exact day at that exact time? Why not a day earlier or later? In the grand scheme of the universe, why did your existence begin at that precise moment? Some say it's pure chance, others believe in fate, but psychology suggests something even more fascinating. Your birth date may be the first imprint, the first unconscious program that shapes your mind before you even begin to understand the world around you. Ancient cultures believed that the moment of your birth carried significance beyond mere timekeeping. They saw it as a cosmic fingerprint, an energetic signature that determined your strengths, weaknesses, and even your life's purpose. While modern science often dismisses these ideas as superstition, there is something undeniable about the way numbers, patterns, and early life experiences shape our psychology. The truth is, whether you believe in astrology, numerology, or nothing at all, the day you were born has influenced you in ways you've never considered. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists of all time, introduced the idea of synchronicity, the belief that events are not just connected by cause and effect, but by meaning. He believed that patterns in life are not random, but deeply significant. If you've ever experienced déjà vu, repeated numbers, or strange coincidences, then you've already felt the power of synchronicity at work. Now, apply that same logic to your birth date. If numbers and patterns hold meaning, then wouldn't the most important number in your life, your birth date, hold the deepest meaning of all? Let's break this down logically. Your birth date consists of numbers, and numbers have been studied for centuries as a way of understanding patterns in nature and human behavior. Even if you don't believe in numerology, consider this. Our entire world is built on numbers. Mathematics governs everything from physics to economics, from music to the timing of your heartbeat. Numbers are the universal language of existence. So, is it really so far-fetched to think that the numbers in your birth date might carry some kind of psychological significance? Now, think about the people born on the same day as you. Have you ever met someone with your exact birth date? If you have, did you notice any similarities? Studies in psychology have shown that people born under similar conditions often exhibit similar personality traits, even if they grow up in different cultures. This isn't magic. The time, the season, the environment in which you were born all play a role in shaping your subconscious mind. But there's something even deeper going on. Your birth date is not just a marker of time, it's a starting point. From the moment you are born, you begin absorbing information from the world around you, the circumstances of your birth, the emotions of your parents, the social and historical events happening at that time, even the weather. All of these factors become part of your subconscious programming. Let's go even further. Some psychologists believe that the conditions of your birth set the foundation for your core beliefs about life. Were you born into a loving family or a chaotic one? Were you born in a time of peace or in a time of crisis? These early experiences don't just disappear, they leave imprints on your subconscious mind. If you were born during a time of struggle, you might develop a deep-seated belief that life is a battle. If you were born into calm and stability, you might carry an innate sense of security. These subconscious imprints shape the way you approach challenges, relationships, and even your sense of purpose. And yet, most people go through life completely unaware of these hidden forces. They assume their thoughts, emotions, and decisions are entirely their own, without realizing that much of what they believe about themselves was encoded into them from the very beginning. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed certain patterns in your life? Do you seem to attract the same kinds of people, face the same kinds of challenges, or struggle with the same internal conflicts over and over again? If so, have you ever wondered why? Are these patterns just coincidences, or is there a deeper reason why your life keeps unfolding in a certain way? Some would argue that these patterns are self-created, that your thoughts and behaviors shape your reality, and that's true to an extent. But what if the foundation of those thoughts and behaviors was laid down before you even had the ability to choose? What if your birth date is the first unconscious script that set the course of your life? Now, think about the stories you've heard about your birth. Was there something unusual about it? Was it a difficult labor, an unexpected arrival, a moment of joy or tragedy? Even if you don't remember it, your subconscious does. Psychology tells us that early life experiences, even those we cannot consciously recall, shape our deepest fears, desires, and instincts. The moment of your birth is no exception. There is something undeniably powerful about the idea that your birth date carries meaning beyond what you've been told. Whether you see it as a cosmic blueprint, a psychological imprint, or a number that simply holds personal significance, one thing is certain. Your birth date is more than just a day. It is the beginning of your story, the first chapter in the book of your life. And now, I want you to ask yourself a question that might change the way you see yourself forever. If your birth date truly holds a hidden psychological code, and if that code has been shaping your life without you realizing it, what does that mean for your future? Are you in control of your destiny, or has your path already been written? And if it has, do you have the power to rewrite it? If everything we have explored so far is true, if your birth date is more than just a number, if it carries a hidden psychological code that has shaped your thoughts, emotions, and experiences, then the next question becomes even more important. What can you do with this knowledge? Can you decode your birth date and use it to unlock your full potential? Or are you destined to follow a path that has already been written for you? To answer this, we must go deeper into the psychology of patterns. Human beings are creatures of habit. Our brains are wired to seek patterns in everything, from the way we interpret faces to the decisions we make in life. This is why we see familiar shapes in the clouds, why we recognize melodies in music, and why we repeat certain cycles in our relationships, careers, and personal struggles. But what if the most fundamental pattern of your life was established the moment you were born? Think about it. Every significant event in your life has been influenced by the environment, the culture, and the time period you were born into. The way you think, the way you process emotions, even the way you define success and failure, all of it has been shaped by invisible forces that began the moment you took your first breath. But is this pattern something you can break free from, or is it a script that you are destined to follow? Consider this. If two people are born on the same day, at the same time, in different parts of the world, will their lives unfold in the same way? On the surface, it seems unlikely. They will have different parents, different upbringings, different opportunities. But when you look deeper, strange similarities begin to emerge. Studies in psychology have shown that people born under the same astrological or numerological influences often share certain personality traits, behavioral tendencies, and even life challenges. This is not magic, it's pattern recognition. Oh, let's take this one step further. If your birth date holds a hidden psychological code, what exactly is encoded within it? One possibility is your core personality structure. Modern psychology has long debated the role of nature versus nurture, whether our personalities are shaped more by our genetics or our environment. But what if there is a third factor? What if the timing of your birth plays a subtle but powerful role in the way your mind is wired? There is a reason why people born in certain seasons tend to have different psychological profiles. Studies have shown that birth season can affect personality traits due to factors such as maternal nutrition, exposure to sunlight, and even seasonal variations in hormone levels. For example, people born in winter months are statistically more likely to be introspective and serious, while those born in summer months tend to be more outgoing and energetic. Could this be a clue that your birth date influences your psychology in ways you've never realized? Even more fascinating is the idea that your birth date may carry a spiritual or existential imprint. Throughout history, different cultures have believed that the timing of one's birth is connected to their life purpose. In ancient Chinese philosophy, the concept of the 5 elements suggests that the year and season of your birth influence your personality and destiny. In Western traditions, numerology assigns meaning to birth dates, claiming that each number carries a specific vibration that affects your life path. Even in modern psychology, there is growing interest in the idea that early life experiences, including the circumstances of birth, shape long-term psychological patterns. But here's the real question. If your birth date is a psychological code, does that mean your future is predetermined, or do you have the power to change it? To answer this, let's examine a concept known as neuroplasticity. In simple terms, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire itself. It means that no matter what patterns you are born into, no matter what subconscious imprints you carry from birth, you have the power to change the way your mind works. This is one of the most revolutionary discoveries in modern neuroscience. The realization that our thoughts, our habits, and even our personalities are not fixed, but flexible. So if you've ever felt trapped by certain personality traits, if you've ever felt like your life has been following a pattern you can't escape, know this. You are not a prisoner of your birth date. You are the author of your story. But before you can rewrite your story, you must first understand the code that has been guiding you. This is where self-awareness comes in. Think about the patterns in your life. Have you noticed recurring themes in your relationships, your career, or your personal struggles? Do you tend to attract the same kinds of experiences over and over again? If so, these patterns may be linked to the psychological imprint of your birth date. Here's an exercise. Write down your birth date. Break it down into its individual numbers. Then, write down the most significant events in your life. Do you notice any connections? Do certain numbers, dates, or life themes seem to repeat? This is not superstition. This is a form of psychological self-analysis. The more you understand the patterns in your life, the more power you have to change them. But let's go even deeper. If your birth date has been influencing you in ways you weren't aware of, then what else might be shaping your reality without your knowledge? Consider the idea of confirmation bias, the tendency for our brains to seek out information that confirms what we already believe. This means that if you've always believed that you are destined for struggle, you will unconsciously seek out experiences that validate that belief. If you've always believed that you are lucky, your mind will focus on the moments that confirm that perception. So, what happens if you challenge those subconscious beliefs? What happens if you decide that you are not bound by the script of your birth date? The answer is simple. Your reality begins to change. But here's the catch. Most people never question the patterns that shape their lives. They accept their struggles, their fears, and their limitations as unchangeable truths. But the truth is, the moment you become aware of a pattern is the moment you gain the power to rewrite it. So I ask you now, if your birth date has been shaping your psychology from the moment you were born, what other hidden forces might be influencing your life? And more importantly, what happens when you decide to take control? If everything we have explored so far is true, if your birth date is more than just a number, if it carries a hidden psychological code that has shaped your thoughts, emotions, and even your destiny, then the final and most important question remains: what do you do with this knowledge? What is the practical application of understanding that the moment of your birth may have imprinted something onto your subconscious mind? Because awareness without action changes nothing. It is not enough to simply recognize patterns in your life. It is not enough to merely acknowledge that invisible forces have been shaping your psychology since birth. The real transformation begins when you take control, when you actively break free from the unconscious programming that has been running your life and begin to consciously shape your own reality. Most people sleepwalk through life, unaware that they are repeating the same cycles over and over again. They struggle with the same types of relationships, make the same mistakes in their careers, face the same internal battles year after year. They think it's just who they are, but they never stop to ask whether these patterns were imprinted onto them before they were even old enough to make a choice. If your birth date has played a role in shaping your subconscious, then it has also played a role in shaping your self-image, the way you see yourself, the way you define your strengths and weaknesses, the way you interpret the events of your life. And if your self-image is programmed, then it can be reprogrammed. To fully understand how to rewrite your subconscious patterns, we first need to recognize the immense power of belief systems. Your beliefs dictate your reality, not in a vague mystical way, but in a deeply psychological and scientific way. Cognitive psychology has proven that human beings experience confirmation bias, meaning we filter reality to match what we already believe. If you believe you are unlucky, your brain will unconsciously focus on every moment of misfortune while ignoring moments of luck. If you believe you are bad at relationships, your brain will highlight every failure and overlook every success. This means that if your birth date has subtly influenced your subconscious beliefs about yourself, perhaps making you feel destined for hardship or wired for a specific personality or bound to a certain fate, then those beliefs have likely shaped your entire life experience. But here's the most important revelation. Beliefs are not facts. They are merely thoughts you have repeated so many times that they feel like the truth. And once you realize that, you gain the power to change them. You gain the ability to step outside of the invisible script that has been running in the background of your mind since birth and begin authoring your own story. But this requires something most people never do. It requires a radical act of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to see yourself objectively, to step outside of your automatic thoughts and behaviors and question them. It is the ability to ask yourself, why do I think this way? Why do I react this way? Why do I believe certain things about myself? And most importantly, are these beliefs actually mine or were they given to me? If your birth date has influenced your subconscious patterns, then the first step in breaking free is to identify those patterns. Begin by looking at your life. What struggles seem to repeat? What fears have followed you for as long as you can remember? What internal conflicts always resurface, no matter how much your external circumstances change? These are the echoes of subconscious programming, and they hold the key to understanding the hidden code that has been shaping your reality. Once you have identified these patterns, the next step is to challenge them directly. Ask yourself, is this truly who I am, or is this simply what I have been conditioned to be? If you've always believed you are bad at something, have you ever questioned whether that belief is actually true? If you have always felt a certain way about yourself, have you ever considered that feeling may have been imprinted onto you rather than being an inherent part of your nature? The moment you begin questioning your subconscious beliefs is the moment you begin rewriting them. This is where transformation begins, not in some abstract mystical sense, but in a deeply psychological and neurological way. Because here's the science behind it. The brain is plastic, it can be rewired. Neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to form new neural connections, to literally restructure itself based on new thoughts, new behaviors, and new experiences. This means that no matter what subconscious programming you have inherited from your birth, no matter what unseen forces have shaped your psychology, you are not bound by them. You have the power to reprogram your mind, to change your self-image, to break free from limiting patterns, and to create an entirely new reality for yourself. But this requires action. It requires conscious intention. It requires you to stop living on autopilot and begin making deliberate choices about who you want to be. To do this, you must start by rewriting the story you tell yourself about yourself. If your birth date has influenced your subconscious in ways you never realized, then now is the time to take control of that influence. Write down the beliefs you have about yourself. Look at them objectively. Then replace them with new, empowering beliefs. If you have always believed that you are destined for struggle, replace that belief with, I create my own reality. I am not bound by the past. If you have always felt like you are stuck in a pattern, replace that belief with, I have the power to change my life at any moment. The key is repetition and emotional intensity. The more you repeat these new beliefs with conviction and feeling, the more your subconscious will begin to accept them as truth. But belief alone is not enough. You must also take deliberate action. If your birth date has been influencing your psychology, then the only way to break free from its unconscious grip is to act in opposition to the patterns it has created. If you have always been afraid of taking risks, take one. If you have always struggled with confidence, practice self-assertion. If you have always felt trapped in a specific identity, challenge it. Every time you take an action that contradicts an old pattern, you weaken that pattern's hold on you. Every time you step outside of the subconscious programming you have inherited, you reclaim more control over your life. And this leads us to the final and most important realization. Your birth date is not your destiny. It is simply the starting point of your journey. It may have influenced you, but it does not define you. You are not a prisoner of the past. You are not bound by invisible forces. You are the creator of your own mind, the architect of your own future. And the moment you fully embrace that truth, you become unstoppable. So now I leave you with one final question, one that has the power to change everything. If you could rewrite the script of your life, if you could break free from the patterns that have shaped you since birth, what would you choose to become? And more importantly, what is stopping you from becoming that person right now?